folks, it ain't looking good, okay? Sure, Trump's cabinet appointments, yeah, they kind of suck. They're depressing. You know, the best one, Matt Gaetz, has already been withdrawn. The other ones, if they face the same level of pushback as Matt Gaetz, which they'll almost certainly receive more in the case of Tulsi and RFK. You know, the other two exciting cabinet appointments, they'll probably be rescinded too. You know, I've been in black pill mode for like a week now, but boy, did I have no idea how much worse things were about to get. Apparently, Britain and France, they want to send troops to Ukraine, boots on the ground. They want little Frenchmen and little Brits. What do you call them? Tommy? No, do they call them Tommies or Bobbies? No, the Bobbies. Those are the cops. Don't they call the soldiers Tommies? Whatever. Well, we know for one thing, they're not going to be very diverse, these British soldiers. The guys who get sent to the front line, they're probably going to look a lot like the guys who were sent to the front line in World War I and World War II. Same goes for the Frenchmen, so I guess that'll help their demographic transitions in those countries. Maybe that's the whole point, because they certainly can't be doing this with the intention of actually defeating Russia. I mean, this is insane. You want to get NATO into a war with Russia? Is that really how we're going to play this? Does Britain and France really want Russia to be, launching tactical nukes at their military bases? And, the funny thing is, in a just world where the law mattered and where the way that things are written down actually translated into how the laws are enforced, I should say, you know what? Go right ahead, Britain and France. Go to hell, literally, because that's what will happen. Russia will send them to hell. Bring this upon yourselves. Launch the war of Western aggression against the Russian Federation and see what happens. Make Putin's day. Because the way that the NATO treaty is written, you cannot invoke Article 5 unless you were attacked first. You cannot throw the first punch and then invoke Article 5 of the NATO treaty. But as we all know, they've been labeling Russia the aggressor the entire time. No matter how many first strikes the West launches Russia's direction, they've always will call Russia the aggressor. And so even if Britain and France send troops into Ukraine and directly engage Russian troops in a war that has nothing to do with NATO, Ukraine and Russia, neither of them are NATO states, so war between Ukraine and Russia should be none of NATO's business. Still, if Britain and France decide to interpose themselves between Ukraine and Russia, when Russia inevitably strikes at France and Britain, they will cry that they are under attack and that Russia is the aggressor. And so they will try to invoke Article 5 of the NATO treaty. And boy, will there be pressure. Even if Trump's president, okay? Even if Trump's president, there's going to be a lot of pressure for the United States to, quote-unquote, defend our NATO allies, Britain and France. Britain and France are trying to suck us into a third world war. And I don't even want to call it that, because this truly is the war of Western aggression. Britain and France are a couple of crybullies. What they are trying to do, and they were explicit about this, they're trying to make up for the void that is going to be left by the United States when Trump takes office and hopefully withdraws support for Ukraine in this war. And so they can't produce the same amount of arms that the United States does. They don't have the arms industry that we have. And so Britain and France are going to supplement, they're going to make up for that difference with manpower. They're going to send soldiers into Ukraine allegedly, it's not official yet, nothing's official until it happens, in order to make up for the void left over by the Americans. This is similar to what happened in Vietnam when the French decided to withdraw, and the Americans under Kennedy at first, and then Johnson, or was it Eisenhower? Did it kind of start under Eisenhower? I think the main buildup in Vietnam really didn't kick off until Kennedy. It was right at the tail end too. So Kennedy normally Johnson's the one who gets all of the flack for Vietnam, which he deserves it. He was president. But I believe, to be fair, it started under Kennedy. But this is a little different. This isn't truly Britain and France, going to make up for the military might of the United States. They know they can't do that. All they're going to do is go and try and piss in Russia's cornflakes. And then when they get a black eye, which is exactly what's going to happen, when they get a black eye, they're going to go crying back to Daddy Washington and say, oh my God, he hit me. Wah. Even though Britain and France are the ones who started the fight, who brought this upon themselves. And even though that will be the fact, the entire media, left and right, from Fox News to MSNBC, all of the traditional media, will be on their side. And they will be putting pressure on Trump, saying how, now is the time for choosing. This is Hitler revisited, to borrow a phrase from George Bush. And Trump must defend our NATO allies from Russian aggression. And he must retaliate. He must launch a nuclear strike on Moscow. We must settle for nothing less than regime change in Russia. And if the Senate gets their way, we already have Mike Waltz as the National Security Advisor. Very, very bad. Matt Gaetz is out at Attorney General, so who knows if he will have any role in the White House, if he will, not that Attorney General has anything to do with war, but Matt Gaetz, obviously a very strong anti-war voice in Washington. He's gone now for the foreseeable future. Pete Hegseth is against the war in Ukraine, but who knows how strong his sentiments are, how much that will change if Britain and France are actually attacked by Russia. That might be crossing a line for him. I don't know. But who knows if Pete Hegseth will ever make it to the Pentagon, because, as soon as Gates was out, all of the attention, all of the force was put on Hegseth, which is why, we still don't know enough about what the Gates situation was. Because he did not take heat off of the rest of the cabinet appointments. As soon as he got out, everybody else was under a ton more pressure. Tulsi, they're going to try and block her. RFK Jr., they're going to try and block him. Even though he wasn't in a foreign policy-related post, they're still going to try and do it. But Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, they're going to try and block her. All of these things. And you know what? All this stuff with Britain and France probably going to come to a head right at the beginning of the Trump administration, before he has any control over any of the levers of power. He's going to come right in, and there's going to be absolute chaos and pandemonium. He's going to be forced to make a decision when all of the intelligence communities or intelligence folks are going to be lying to him, trying to tell him whatever they need, whatever they think he needs to hear in order to get him to approve some kind of war against Russia. I mean, this isn't a joke. This is a serious risk. This is very, very bad. It is very clear that the foreign policy establishment across the West, whether it be in Washington, London, or Paris, they all are united in a singular goal of trying to suck Donald J. Trump into a war with Vladimir Vladimirovich Putinovich. So now the next couple of months are even more critical. Things are escalating. There was another strike on Kursk today, apparently, with the ATACMS. It was unclear how Russia is going to respond to that. But let's hope that the UK and France, boots on the ground in Ukraine trial balloon, let's hope that gets shot down. Let's hope that they do not move forward with that for the sake of the planet. Keir Starmer is a madman. He must be stopped by any means necessary. He has been a danger to the people of Great Britain ever since he took office, but now he is a danger to the planet, because this is not funny. This is not a game. It's the difference between a bright future and extinction for our entire species. That's what nuclear war, it's the only way it can end. The only way that the bombs will stop falling, once the taboo is broken, is there has to be nobody left to drop any bombs. Because we'll never run out of bombs. I guess when Starmer and Macron played Fallout, they thought it was an instruction manual rather than a warning, rather than a tongue-in-cheek, black comedy. They saw that and they thought to themselves, this seems quite nice, actually. No, in reality, it's hubris. It's not that they aren't afraid of nuclear war. It's that they think that they are so tough, that they are so supreme, that it could never happen to them. It could never happen here. That Putin is nothing but a gas station owner masquerading as the president of a country, when in reality he controls the world's largest known stockpile of nuclear weapons. So with that said, I will see you folks back here in the next one.